meglio che sia proprio così.
Stiamo lavorando per avere un'asta.
O anche se quelli così,
Sì,
come ci sono in chiesa
no,
anche.
quelli non riusciamo a farlo funzionare.
Ah no?
Ma stiamo lavorando per avere l'asta.
Ah, l'asta, sì, sì, sì. Prova.
Okay, so we are ready to start. If you can take a seat. So, hi everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to the first Software Developer Thursday of 2026. This time the speaker will be Davide Montesin, which will present us how we can manage multiple projects and jump from one project to the other without losing the red path. I won't steal him much more time. I'm really curious to see what he will present us. Thank you, Davide, for your presentation, and the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening to everyone and good year. Yes, today I like to show you some open source tool I have used to organize my work. I will a little explain my experience. We can even, during the presentation, exchange opinion. And the goal is at the end, maybe not to that you use the same way, but we will see a lot of tools and idea, and so maybe you can pick some idea and bring in your work. Okay, so let's start with the presentation. Okay. As I say before, Stefano, the idea is to present some tools that help me to organize better a multi-project job. I work on many projects, software project and testing, automated testing project. These are the main core activity of CatchSolve. And even I like to make many projects, is also make me fun. And so let's see how what was my experience and how and what I have tried in the last years. So I have some slides, so to pick maybe the main points, and then later we can even see a little demo, working demo about this. I have said I like to make more projects, but sometime is even required. I think is even your experience that you not work the entire day on one project, but you should jump or switch between different project or activity. And on one side, having more project is funny because you can make different experience, you can test different technology and so on, but changing the project or switching the context for me was a little, let's say, not very funny. So remember all the things to do, the last I have made on this project and so on. And so switching made me not so happy and I lose a little the fun or the motivation. What I mean, for example, if you have a software project, developer project, you have service, terminal, documentation of the project. You have maybe shell in which you have executing command and so on. If you have only or you use only one computer, let's say you mix maybe history, tools, software version, and so on. Each project then can have each technology, each software version, and so on. There are even tools that help this. For example, Docker can be a help in this direction because you can, for example, have a multiple version of the same software. I don't know if you think about Postgres, Java, Node, and so on. With Docker, you can already manage multiple version of the same software in the project. But this is about the technical part, but you anyway lose the full environment, development environment of the project. For me, I typically have a short-term memory for things. So when I switch between projects, sometimes I should read again some documentation, think about what was the last point, and so on. Should I write some new feature? Should I finish to fix something, and so on? Switching for me, for example, happens even because sometimes I have limited frame for a project. So if I start with a project in the morning and then take a lot of time, but for example, I should take the children from school in the lunch time, and so I should leave this in the afternoon. Another priority is there, so for me it was not always possible to stay or finish a project without breaking the activity. And so this was for me, for my memory and my brain, a little hard to manage. Another things, it's happened in the past mostly, now it's worked better, is where I should install the development tools. No? So at the time I have a laptop, maybe a quite good laptop in which all is installed, no? So the software, IDE, and so on. And but I should bring the laptop always with me. So when I in the morning work in the office and in the afternoon I work at home, I should bring my laptop with me, so I can continue, for example, on some project. This was not so easy to carry always the laptop with me, because mostly I go with a bike. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes have not a bag, and so on. And so my idea was even try to solve this kind of problem. In the time I have started with this technology and solution for technical project, but in the time I have even extended the use even in not software project. So for example, if I should make invoices or one ask for a funding and so on, for me was even in this case nice to have some context, some we will see some, let's say, a virtual machine that contains all the information within. So for example, if I do some funding or accounting, I have already opened the digital sign tool, the grant docs, or the last invoice I have sent to maybe copy the invoice and so on. So I have think what's to do to try to better switch between project and context, and so I have think why not use a virtual machine? No? So I think we know no, the concept. No? We can create a virtual computer, let's say, that and create one virtual machine per project. So I can put all the things in the virtual machine and work for this project in this virtual machine. Then for the next project, send a second virtual machine and so on. So this was an idea I have tested, a trial in the last time. And what was nice with the virtual machine is that like even regular computer, but in the virtual machine too, you can hibernate the virtual machine. Hibernating means you can freeze the entire system, including the desktop and the GUI system. No? So all the windows, all the document open, all the programs you open, the shell, and so on. So you can freeze everything and power off the virtual machine, because Hibernate will copy all the state of the virtual machine on the file system, and the virtual machine in this case will be powered off. So when it's power off, does not consume more CPU or RAM resource, only the storage space required for the disk and the state of the virtual machine. A virtual machine require a lot of RAM or resources, so having more project is require a lot of RAM, but with hibernation you can alternate projects. So say not all virtual machines should be running at the same time. Can be run parallel. For example, if there is some process is running in a virtual machine, you can still make run it. But with Hibernate, you can simply, when you don't need anymore the virtual machine, simply power off. When you restart the virtual machine, you will see in the virtual machine exactly like a snapshot, no? So exactly where you live, all the situation as before the hibernation. So if I should switch, for example, between projects, for example, I don't know, a customer call with a problem, or I have no more time for some task, I should give priority to another one, I can hibernate one project, so one virtual machine, and start the next one and follow the activity on the next one. Let's see some things about hibernation and the service and the process that are running. All the service and process in the virtual machine work quite good. So if you have a software that is running after the hibernation will run as no hibernation is happened, so without big problem. The most problem are related with the network connection, of course, because if you power off the machine, like so in a normal situation, the network connection will drop. And Another issue you can have with virtual machine are time-sensitive service. No, if you have a token that represent token are typically limited in time, the validity is limited in time, and so on. So when you restart the virtual machine, may not work anymore. But I will show you because I have find some interesting solution for these cases. So what's I have used for virtualization? My idea was to be, let's say, shell friendly, and I have not used, I don't know, VirtualBox or something more GUI oriented, let's say, but I have used simply KVM on that can even work as command line. And I have used this for as virtualization layer, simply. I don't know, you already know this tool? Well, no, KVM, or is already used? Okay, no, okay. Sometimes it's even used as a tool that is not used directly, but in the background for starting virtual machine. It's work very easy in my case because defining a virtual machine has typically these three files. The first one is the disk. As you see here, the file can even is let's say the length of the file is virtual, so it does not reserve the entire space of the disk, but typically is a file, a sparse file, let's say, that use only the space that you use on the disk. So this is a typical way to optimize the virtual machine disk. So this first one is the disk, the virtual disk. The second one is the shell file that we see next that run the virtual machine. And the 31 is the swap file that we need for hibernation, because the default way that Linux will hibernate a machine is to copy all the RAM content in the swap file and store it on the disk. So these are the three files, but the nice things, so it's very easy because there is no other required file here, and so you can even backup or move this file everywhere. You can move anytime or simply copy when the machine is not running in this case. So if you want backup your project, you simply backup these three files and you have exactly a copy of your virtual machine. Maybe before something heavy refactoring, I don't know, or some software that is not for you, can take some risks. And so very easy. Each time I have these three files for each machine, and are simple these. Let's see the shell file and the command. Here are some parameters you can pass directly as command line arguments. So the first one is the software you start. In this case, the software start as simply process. So KVM in this case is a simple process, like starting any other process. No magic in this case. And you can give some parameter to define some parameter of the virtual machine. For example, you can define how much memory you define for this machine. Typically can be a good idea to avoid to use if a machine has some memory leak problem or during development that does not use maybe only all the memory of the computer that hosts it. So that does not prevent or does not disturb other virtual machine or simply the other process. Then you can define which CPU you want given the virtual machine. In this case, host means it will copy exactly the CPU of the host system. So simply in this way, the architecture inside the virtual machine is the same of the host file, of the host computer, and the WMX parameter even enables nested virtualization. So this is even quite impressive. The last virtualization technology support even nested virtualization. Means that if you run another virtual machine inside the virtual machine, it's run quite fast because this is supported by nested virtualization. So it's not that the performance will be so bad if you have another virtual machine inside. Typically, it's not the case, but for example, the Android emulator, let's take an example. If you have a project, a mobile project, the Android emulator is a virtual machine itself. So with this parameter, you can then install, for example, Android Studio and start the emulator and work quite good. So maybe not as good as it was directly run, but not so bad that is not usable. So is using nested virtualization you can, let's say, work with this. Then you can even define how much core or CPU you want to give to the virtual machine. And here was nice because the performance inside the virtual machine can change about this parameter. Typically, you should use some number of core or CPU that the virtualization can exactly reserve, for example, an exact number of CPU to the virtual machine. The other one are more intuitive, more simple. You define the disk file, so the disk to which file is mapped. So the disk we have seen before. The swap, we need both, no? The disk and the swap. And you can define, like, let's say, like Docker in this case, you can define some port forwarding from outside to inside. For example, in this case, the forward was about the secure shell, and this allows you to, for example, from outside the virtual machine, connect inside using even SSH. For example, for transfer a file or start some terminal command and so on. And at the end, this parameter define the boot. So the file to use in this case was the UEFI firmware to start this kind of BIOS, let's say. Okay, how to, if you install Linux, how difficult is to create or enable hibernation? And this is quite easy. First, you should create a swap partition, or even a swap file works. Swap file might be a little more complicated to configure, but works. And you should, but take in account that RAM, the swap file, should be quite big. So is because the swap file is not used only for swapping as usual, but even for copying the RAM state of the virtual machine in case of hibernation. So typically I've created swap partitions that are bigger are the RAM of the computer. So there is even space for swap and the entire RAM content in case of hibernation. And then you add simply a boot option that is resume with the path or unique ID of the partition that has the swap. Configuring this, simply this boot parameter, the kernel at the boot look of the swap file or partition in this case, and search for a hibernate state. It found it, will resume. If not found, simply we do a normal boot. So it's the resume is automatic depending on how the machine were powered off. Somebody has already used hibernation, not let's say maybe in virtual machine, but typically in computer use hibernation, or okay, sometimes, fine. Okay, so the experiment now starts. Let's say let's create a virtual machine. Let's set up these commands to start and to hibernate it. And the next issue was about the screen. So because typically when we run a virtual machine, the software will show a window with inside the desktop. You maybe can change the window size, changing the resolution within the system, but this way was not so ideal for development. I'll say if you want to read some document, maybe okay, but for a developer that typically use more monitors, puts so I don't know, terminal in one, the code in another one. So working in a small window or limited window was not really a good idea. And so I think, okay, this is not possible. Some tools, I think, for example, VirtualBox has something like headless mode or something like this that let you to put window in your desktop. So some window of the virtual machine can run in your desktop like a regular window, but I have seen still that when I resize the windows or so on, something is happen in the background as the feeling was not very good. And so I think maybe not to use directly the window provided by the software that make the virtualization, but use some remote desktop software, no? So connectly remotely. And so I have tried some of these. For example, any desk, I don't know, you use some remote desktop, the remote desktop software, for example. But in remote desktop work quite good. What's enable remote desktop is can solve one thing I have said before. So, for example, when I am home, when I work home, I can, for example, remotely connect to Office to work and not carry with me the laptop. But I have tried some, but I was not so satisfied from the use by this way. And so after some experiment with different software, I found Tiger VNC. I don't know if somebody has heard it. No? Okay. I am not alone. I discovered this. And the interesting things is that is the old VNC protocol. So if we think about VNC, we think about this old protocol. No? There are new improvement in the time, but has some feature in this case, in particular, this software, Tiger VNC, that has worked very good. And now I tell you what were the very interesting feature of this version of VNC. This is even an open source project. So first, I have not expected from this protocol, but it was really high performance. So because when I work, I don't know, remotely or with a remote desktop, and I develop, for example, I don't like when I scroll the code to see the code jumping, so not smooth, but so like step. And what surprised me is that the performance was very good, and they even advertised now that the level of performance is good for running 3D and video application. So this is not my case. But for sure, the high performance was very interesting. Even when I use it remotely, because the high performance means even high compression. So when you scroll or you open a new Windows and so on, the network usage was not so big, but the compression was very, very good. What I discovered more is that this software offers a virtual Xorg. So you can use it for remote connection to a normal desktop, let's say. But more powerful was the virtual Xorg. It can use even as a virtual Xorg. It means that you does not start a screen. So you can even start your Linux headless, so without the screen. And this software creates a virtual screen in which you can start all the applications, so the Windows Manager, menu, application, and so on. So it's work like normal. Only does not require an hardware, so a screen, a really video card, let's say, because work virtual. And what was very nice is when work with virtual, the performance are no faster. So when you should grab, so if you have your screen, and you work remotely with it, the changes come quite fast. But if you virtualize the screen environment, the performance are really very high because he can very good detect changes, because the most problem of this software is that does not send the entire screen each time. The software, to be quick, should detect the changes in the screen and send only the changes. And so when you use as virtual Xorg, it's has in this case, I think, more control of the changes and know exactly which part of the screen are changes and send to the client. Another thing about scrolling, he make even some smart thing, because he detect a scroll, it will say to the client, scroll this part up, so 100 pixel, and I send you only the new part that is under the scroll you should show. So this was the virtual mode were very, let's say, very impressive. How fast is the client updated. And another thing that has me very convinced to use this is that the virtual mode can mirror your screen even with the multi-monitor layout. So we start saying, we have a window, maybe now I have maybe, I like to work maybe full screen, but if I have 2 or 3 screens and I connect with this tool, the virtual Xorg on the other side reproduce exactly my screen layout. So it's mirror exactly my screen layout. So if I have 3 monitors, I can start the client that span all the 3 monitors, and the same configuration is even at dynamically, so should not be configured, so is reproduced on the other side. And so I can work also even with more screen off my side. And the other interesting things, if I am in the office, I have some screen layout. If I go home, I am another screen layout, because I have typically smaller screen at home, not too much space for a big screen. And when I connect from home, in this time, he redefined the screen runtime, so redefine the screen to mirror the new screen and adapt all the window to the new resolution. This happens, excuse me, I maybe talk too much, okay? And this happens automatically. You should not reconfigure resolution or screen. This happens simply connecting to this kind of things. So this has convinced me that this can be a good way. And so at the end, my idea was to use the virtual machine for the project that simply run headless. So no screen window is open. So these virtual machines are like server, let's say. They have no video card, they have no screen, but simply they run an instance of this Tiger VNC server that can make a virtual screen that has these powerful things, and so supporting on the fly multi-monitor layouts. So when run headless, it's even not more bound that a virtual machine should run on a laptop or something. So it can even run on a server, a mini PC, even remotely in this case, because you don't even need more to be physically connected to the virtual machine. What's the tool even offer, and that was even interesting, if you start, in this case, the process without the screen, the console in which you run the process act as login or terminal for the virtual machine. So even if you don't have the SSH connection, because you don't have still enabled the server, you can, in the terminal that run the process, it's become the a login terminal of the machine. So you can log in and configure it. Okay, question until now? It's quite clear.
Demo.
Yeah.
We will get a demo, right?
We get a demo. I hope it's not boring to this presentation, but at the end there is the demo, so we can play a little with it. So in this case, so switching for me was more interesting, switching with this project, because I can jump between projects, like the title of this talk, so like Alt-Tab, no? It means simply switching between one virtual machine to the next one, and so on. Okay, but this we have already seen. I will maybe not to repeat it too much. There are things that work good and things that works worse there. About the connection, the network connection, I think a tool that exists on top of SSH is autossh, that automatically reconnect when the connection drop. So the idea was, okay, if I am in the virtual machine, should I have a terminal to a server? We have seen that at the moment that when you hibernate the virtual machine and restart again, the connection was dropped. So when you come back in the virtual machine, SSH connection are not still here, were dropped. Because in the meantime, the server has seen no traffic and so has dropped the connection. But there is this tool that simply reconnect automatically a connection that's dropped. So if you use this instead of directly SSH, you can, when you come back, you see that your connection in some seconds is again active. And this works even for port forwarding. So if you are using the connection to connect to database or clients and so on, you can again have all active. To make work this regime of SSH more easy, it is better to define some configuration in the SSH client and server and have listed here in particular these properties that are simply configuration that help the tool to understand if a connection is dropped or not. No? So, for example, these two configuration means if for 15 seconds no packet is exchanged, you can even specify how much. No, here was a number quite aggressive. No, typically it's 2 or 3. After 2 or 3 times, no packet is exchanged. Simply drop the connection and stop. On the same on the server. This helps a lot because if you hibernate or restore a machine, the connection can be dropped, and you avoid to have server connection that remain open for some times because the server is not here. If you don't write something in the shell, automatically the tool sends some null packet only to prove that the connection is there. So this does not mean that you cannot not stop writing. Simply is how much time the connection is checked. This can even bind with tmux or screen. I don't know if you know this tool. Somebody has used screen or tmux. Okay, a lot, very good. tmux help you to, if you close a connection with a server, to make the command and the process continue on the server, not stop, because typically when you close a connection to a server, the processes that you have started will be killed. With this tool, you can make run detached, and you can attach again later. And so, if you combine autossh plus tmux together, it means that when the virtual machine is stopped and restored again, you simply have all your connection to remote server, even if it was hibernating in the meantime, are still here. So if you return, you see exactly the last command you have run or still running command, and so on. Okay, maybe I go a little more faster, so we can even see some demo. I have tried other tools, and other things was to mount remote folder. This, for example, to exchange file between the virtual machine and so on. And first service I have tried is this SSHFS that give you the possibility to mount directory remote folder using SSH, but this was not work not good because when the network connection drop, the tool does not resume the mount. So this was not, or I have found a good way to make this. But what works fine in this case is rclone, another software about mounting remote file system. This is very powerful, not simply SSH connection, and this work very well if you want to mount remote connection. Because this tool has the possibility to resume connection that drop. So rclone, you can set up, for example, an idle timeout and say if no activity, this for 3 seconds or so, drop the connection, and next time you use the files, no, you have mounted, it will restart again the connection. So in this way, this tool was a better way to mount remote file system to exchange data. rclone, you know this tool, have used? Somebody? Okay. Have think more, because it's quite famous, because you can connect from too many cloud provider and see remote file as local folder, let's say. Okay, so I say before, this was a good tool to mount remote file, because my idea is not to make the virtual machine long-term storage. So typically software or code is then pushed to GitHub or something repository, and other documents does not live long time in the virtual machine, but they will be copied in some cloud system or the host machine. Okay, the next topic is about now our brain. So we have seen how technical to make this happen, but what's about what I am doing, what should I do next on the project, and so on. And so my idea was to create inside the virtual machine a document, in this case was Markdown, that in which I track all the activity I do. For example, in this case, I have a log with some notes and even a journal, no, in which say, okay, today I have made this, I have continued, for example, a GitHub issue, and for the next time I should finish, for example, this or continue or this activity. And this helped me because when I come back in a virtual machine, I can read the last log, no, what I do the last time, and help me a lot to start productively again to the things I have left. Okay, so okay, I can even jump this part. So by this way I can switch between project and not freeze only the the code, but the entire development environment. And so I have created a picture about its work at the end. So at the end, the project are this virtual machine on the left. There are, I say before, server process. They does not require a screen, and I can connect or decide to switch between the project and using the technology we have seen. I see on my screen, on my current screens, the software or where I left off the project. And by this way, when I move at home or to a customer and so on, I simply need a laptop, tablet, mobile phone that simply has VNC installed, and so I can connect to this machine and work or continue to work on this one. Okay, so we can now see some demo for this. Okay, maybe some question until here or something. Okay, let's see an example. Let's see if I got to work with only one hand. So, okay, this is the Tiger client. I show you. Okay, no connection. Without connection does not work. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we have connected to my computer in the office. These are the list of virtual machine I have defined for each project. So let's start testing for Open Data Hub. That is a project I am currently doing. Let's start the virtual machine. As you see here, the terminal simply start the virtual machine. This is a headless virtual machine. It's open the port for VNC here. You see the connection, so the port open. And now should resume. Let's say if work. Okay. Now it's resuming the state of the virtual machine. And some seconds, and then the script should even open the client that connect to the virtual machine. Some suspense seconds to see if this happen or not. Okay, now sound quite good. Some VNC connection. Okay, and now this is the virtual machine I have used for this project. I say, as you see here, this is Tmux. No, so before showing a top on not on this machine but on a remote machine. And as you see here, the top is working because, as I have shown you before, the combination between Tmux and autossh restart automatically the connection, and the process you have started continue to work on the server. Tmux is, I think, very interesting, has even some mouse interaction, so you can even split the window, create some more tabs, let's say, so you can work very nice. We can even reproduce the problem, so if I write, for example, kill all SSH connection, we see that here is still working because maybe only the time it takes to reconnect, and I have always I can always use the connection or the port forwarding even if it's active. On the left side, I typically leave. I have this journal per virtual machine, so when I have this is better for my mind, no? So I fix some posts that are very interesting, and then what's next to do, and what is even nice to have by date some small hint. What's helped me a lot are reading what should I do next. So I have this day, for example, working on this issue, and next step I write myself. The next step should be finish this issue and start with this next one. So when I come back, for me, is quite easy to understand what was the point and what should do next. Okay, and the rest of the project is still here. All the tabs, all the browser or the connection are always in the situation you have leave it. And I don't know if we can see this, but what I can show you, this is the menu of the client, and has okay, the compression, no, you say is very good. Security, you can define the security for connecting. Typically, I don't trust too much the security of the this tool. I prefer to use VPN or SSH to connect remotely, not this one. You can exchange clipboard between the client and the server, and this is exactly was for me very nice because in this case we are in the window web version. It's mean I can, for example, show you if I can resize the window. Let's move a bit. Okay, you see, if I resize the window, all the window inside has resized too. Maybe repeat again, maximizing it. So you see, all the desktop has resized to the availability space, but you can say I want full screen on the current screen, full screen on all monitors, or full screen on selected monitors. So you can even, for example, put the content of the virtual machine or on some monitor, and for example leave one monitor for your emails or other things you want even try to see. Okay, and when you finish with it, I run hibernate. Okay, now you see all is freezed. No, so no things is working now. Okay, and now the virtual machine is power off with inside all the content, and I can go to the next one or simply another thing. Okay, if I don't want any more, I can disconnect and go back to my PC. Okay, thank you for listening, and if there are some questions.
Thank you, Davide. Is there someone that wants to post a question or comment?
Okay.
What about licenses? When you start software with licenses in such a virtual machine. Can you copy them also to other places?
Okay, this is a good question. Also, all the tools I have shown are all open source tools. So all the tools does not require licenses. Of course, the difference can be if you inside a virtual machine you install some licensed software, and in this case I think you should read the EULA or something that if allow you to run software in a virtual machine or not. But the software I have shown you today are all open, so you can install how much virtual machine you want. Okay, Chris?
Just a quick check. What you showed were double VNC connections, right? Because you connected to your server.
Yes.
And on the server you dehibernated the virtual machine, and then from there you did another VNC to the virtual machine, right? So it was nested.
In this case it was nested, and is even nice that Tiger VNC work fine even nested. But this now was because I have not configured this laptop all, but you can even when the connection is there forward in the local computer only the screen of one virtual machine. So this was now to start the virtual machine graphically, but you can even start by shell and then. Yes, because it was even nested VNC. Yeah. Okay.
I'm a Windows victim, and exists there something like that for Windows user? I don't think so. No?
I don't know. For Windows, okay, on Windows you can even use virtualization, so you can have more virtual machine. I think Tiger VNC there is a Windows port, I would say.
So to hibernate the full setting, like you mentioned before.
Because I think when we show the Tiger here, I think it say that it should work in even on Windows. This client. I don't know if. So it means in Windows you can start virtual machine, so the software there are even, and but inside the virtual machine I think does not work fine with Windows again, because the tool I have shown today are more Linux based, so I don't really know if there are equivalents for Windows.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was missing the most important part. Like, how is working? Like, what's the latency if you like really start typing and working? Do you like
how fast
yeah,
is?
And in your day-to-day, like how reliable is internet connectivity so that it actually works for you? And
So you mean how fast is reading or something?
yeah, typing or browsing
okay.
or whatever you do on that virtual machine.
Okay. But what I would say, typically, for example, when I work at home, I have a good connection even at home, and typically I don't feel much different. And the nice things, even if I am in office, I still be connected using VNC, because these virtual machines are headless. So. And typically I don't feel too much difference, so it's quite as work on the PC. So the say before, the headless version of Tiger VNC is really impressive, how it can be fast even in not too fast connection. What is more important is latency, because is the time the packets can, because the amount of data is good optimized, but the latency should be quite fast. So, for example, if you use a mobile connection that has bigger latency, in this case you will note some delays. But bandwidth is less sensible, let's say. More latency, would I say.
So it seems that all questions were answered.
Okay.
So, Davide, thank you for your presentation. And
Thank you.
se puoi saltare sulla mia.
Okay.